Hey guys, we just finished up our Instax challenge. I'm Jason, this is Deuce, and this is Anything You Can Do Photo.
All right, so these are my two picks for today. I liked both of them because each of them kind of told a different story. One of them, the DB2, or the one on the left here, told kind of the story of a guy down in his luck. He's got his head down, he's looking down. We have that hard line once again. I really like that. I like the soft light that falls off towards the edges. You kind of pick up a little bit of the money towards the bottom there as well. Yep. And so that was one of my favorite shots. The second shot was one of those more aggressive kind of Hunter S. Thompson-esque photos, I would say. And with the wide angle, it really worked well. I like the fact that he was smoking on it. I like that the actual Pro Photo picked up the bottle on this one. Now, while we had some issues in other places, this is the first one where that really started to come out, and we started to see a little bit of shininess in his suit. And so I thought that one had a really good tone.
Absolutely. So my critique on these, obviously the first one came out a bit dark. You weren't using the secret weapon that I was. I brought my light meter to the party. You didn't say anything about, not using light metering gear.
True.
So, in the spirit of you bending the rules on the previous shoot with the reflectors, I had to do you up one on that. But I would have liked to have seen more light on that one. But again, being limited by the tool set, completely get it. I absolutely love the expression on it, though, and the posing is spot on. That chin line and nose directly in line with how the light's falling captures the mood you were going for perfectly. And it's got that kind of like, all right, is it time to go out and party with this money, or do I meet my responsibilities? Like, it's been a rough grind to get this. Maybe he got his hands dirty to get it, He's wearing a suit. Maybe he's like professional hitman, kind of, spy. Who knows what he's doing for that kind of money? Because those are a lot of $100 bills stacked there. But I love the look and feel of it. The second one, though, that I think for sure is your shot of the day. You have the exaggerated perspective of the bottle in the foreground, and the light just kissed it perfectly on the side of the bottle from that Pro Photo. So absolutely with you on that second one.
Now, the reason I really like the second one actually over the first one is how the fence plays into it.
Yeah.
The problem with the first one, and one of the big issues with the first one, is I should have had him sit up a little bit straighter there and thought that through a little bit more. Because I didn't have that, what we end up with is that going concurrent to his head or running straight through his head, not in a way that's flattering, but more of the fact that it is kind of a parallel more than rather than something that cuts and leads to it.
Yeah, I think the juxtaposition on the second shot where his head's in the negative space above the fence. There's no light there. There's no detail there, but we see that it wasn't just accidentally cropped or maybe a finger was over the lens. On the first shot, it does look a bit like it should have been cropped down or somebody put their finger over the lens. So anytime you're working with a line like that, it's of course something you want to be careful of so you don't have a tree coming out of the top of somebody's head vertically, or a fence like doing the whole arrow through the head thing like in an old comedy movie. But that negative space around his head in the second one draws the eye right to him, and you want the subject's face to be the star of that shot, and that sells it for me.
I think the second one would have been much stronger though too if I would have had a rim light to his hair, and that would have pushed him and cut him out. I do think his hair falls off. He's almost hairless at that point, almost bald. Looks like half of a face. So I think that's a bit of an issue.
I see it in the sideburns though. I would agree, just a little kiss of light like what we get on the Pro Photo on the side of the gin bottle there and on the side of his suit. If it read on the top of his head a little bit more, I'd dig it, but I don't think he looks bald. I mean, we definitely see the sideburns there. I like the look of it. I like everything about the second shot. Working that wide angle from a low angle definitely does get that Hunter Thompson feel.
All right, so let's talk about Jason's two picks. Okay, what did you get?
All right, so for my set with Drew, we had him in a suit. We had some money as a prop. We had some gin as a prop, and he was, smoking a real cigar on set. And I wanted to kind of do something like Wolf of Wall Street, that feel of yuppie stockbroker, has too much money, is a young guy in the 80s, and just gives zero craps about anything. These here are it for me. These are the two shots that I would submit to a photo editor if I were trying to do a profile on some young CEO that just launched his company and is getting a lot of press. That first one, it captures the confidence, almost arrogance that I was asking him to give me on set there. It just has that smugness that we expect in a profile piece about somebody that made their first billion. And that second one, the pullback shot, where we have the loose framing for a layout, I dig it. And for all the reasons we discussed earlier, it just hits the look and feel that I was going for, and it just reminded both of us of the the kind of corporate shots from the 80s.
Yeah.
The yuppie invasion there. So curious what you'd do differently, things you would add, change, or modify.
So for me, I think because it's just a portrait, rather than the story is in the model themselves. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the lighting things I would have done. I would have done the rim light on the right side, kind of like a standard headshot portrait. I don't think that's a problem here, and the reason it's not a problem in this particular one is because I think it goes for the 80s style of just a one light kind of setup. Yeah. However, if this was something where we were submitting modernly, I probably would have tried to do something, and not necessarily just on one side. I may have tried to do a light right over him in the background. What works for this for me is the fact of the gray around his head keeps his head in focus and also gives kind of an interesting backdrop. The fact that it falls off on the side gives a strong feel and a moodiness to it. On the second photo, I like that. I really actually wish the background was longer though. I mean, I really just, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't think I like the strip of black on the sides. I really like the gray that's going on there. I think that's so much more interesting than that black strip. I couldn't even see it on here or on our screen here. I can't see that light stand at all.
It's there. I promise you it's there. Otherwise that backdrop paper would have fallen on. But yeah, I agree with you. I wish the backdrop were wider. I didn't want to have to reposition the lights and all of that because we were metered, we were set. Sometimes I'm like a dog with a bone on set. We were talking about target fixation and photographer brain in another episode. This is one of those times for me where I was getting the light on subject that I was looking for. I was getting that halo gradient fall off around him. I think one thing I would do differently next time for this similar look, while I was going for the dramatic jawline, I think it was a little too dramatic. We're losing a lot of his neck there. And he looks a little bit like a floating head in the second one to me. I would probably turn the strip box so it was oriented horizontally up and over him. I would have feathered it more next time to try and bring some of that light under him. And with my Profoto B1, that's actually my favorite light modifier to use on location because it's quick to set up. It's only 4 spokes to pop into the speed ring. And you can get a couple of different looks without moving the stand around. If you have the light horizontally, you're going to get that high and above lighting, but if you turn it vertically, then you can do fill under the chin, on axis with the face, and a little bit of light coming from above, and with the directionality of a grid on it, it's going to go exactly where you put it. Without the grid on that strip box, that would have lit up the whole background. I'm confident it would have lit up that whole background instead of being that hot spot with the fall off there, but I definitely would have rotated and feathered it more in the future.
So some people might suggest to use a reflector on that to bring that head up. Do you think that would have worked for this particular shot though?
Yes and no. So when think about it in the context of how I would do a shot like this with a real VIP, you have to be very mindful of their space. They're not someone you can say, oh, your shirt's a little creased, or can you turn this way and touch them. They have a security team of people that will wreck your day if you lay a finger on them, right? So, if you're working with talent like that, asking them to hold a sandwich board reflector just out of frame or having it in their personal space is something I try to avoid. Because it's just not something that they're okay with.
What if you had done something like an umbrella?
So something, for this with a model, definitely in the future, an umbrella under the chin, or a second light from floor level, just a little kicker with a snoot on it, or gridded so it's just hitting exactly where you want it. So certainly more fill light from under the chin, but the nice thing about that strip box is you can get that without the reflector. You just got to remember to feather it, which I forgot to because we were moving fast and I was fixated on the look I was already getting.
All right, that wraps it up for the Instax Challenge. We just want to thank our model at DrewsifRringo on Instagram. Follow him. He's a fantastic model. It's been a pleasure shooting with you, Jason.
Pleasure working with you as well. This is Anything You Can Do Photo. If you like us, comment, subscribe, and tell us what you want to see in future episodes. Anything You Can Do Photo, out.